I'm Dragons After Dark, and welcome to the Pet Battle Report, your weekly news and information source for all things Pet Battle. If you had to guess the most asked question for new people in the Pet Battle community or just in general, what would it be? If you guessed, what's the best way for me to level, you would be 100% correct. That is the question that we hear the most from people, and that's what we're going to go over today. We're going to go over the old methods, the new methods, and hopefully it'll help you find what's right for you. Before we get into that though, let's go over everything going on this week on Azeroth and beyond for your pets. On Tuesday, Blizzard released the Ultimate Cuddly Pack in the shop, which includes all of the 21 pets that are available both in the in-game shop and on their website for a 67% reduction in price. If there were any pets that you might be missing that you were waiting on a sale for, or you have some leftover Blizzard balance, now might be a good time to do that. Unfortunately, the individual pets are not on sale. It would have to be part of this pack. So if that interests you, that will run until 27 February 23. And if you do pick up any of those pets, you might want to wait for Friday the 17th if you are on the North American servers, because Squirt, the Wandering Trainer, will be visiting our garrisons on that date this Friday. And Valentine's Day might be behind us now, but in-game, the Love is in the Air event is still going on until the 20th. I hope everyone who has been trying to get their Heartbreaker mounts has been able to get them. Hopefully that increased drop chance is going everyone's way. But aside from the mount, there are 3 pets that you can get from this event: the Lovebird Hatchling, Petal Feet, and the Toxic Wasteling. The Lovebird Hatchling and Petal Feet you can purchase from the vendors in your capitals for 40 love tokens each. And then the Toxic Wasteling is a drop from the dungeon, and let me tell you, it drops a lot. You probably won't need to go to the auction house to purchase one of those guys, but if you don't feel like farming for the love tokens, the Lovebird Hatchling and Petal Feet can be grabbed from the auction house. And we are traversing the time streams again with the Burning Crusade Time Walking weekly event. And while the vendor does not have any pets you can buy directly from them, they do have the Bag of Fishing Treasures, which will cost you 150 time warped badges each, and they have a chance to drop the Crocalisks that you have a chance to get from the Burning Crusade fishing dailies. So if you don't want to buy Chuck, Muckbreath, Snarly, and Toothy from the auction house and you don't want to fish, you can try your hand at the drop chance from that Bag of Fishing Treasures. You also have a chance for the Phoenix Hatchling to drop from the Magister's Terrace Time Walking Dungeon, as well as the Leviathan Hatchling, Abyssius, the Fragments of Anger, Desire, and Suffering, and the Sister of Temptation from the Black Temple Time Walking Raid. Also, all of the Time Walking Raid pets I just mentioned count toward the Pet Collection achievement, Raiding with Leashes 3, Drinking from the Sunwell, which rewards the non-battling companion cutie. Shifting over to a more current timeline, Enzoth is invading Uldum once more, which means we have a chance for the Pyre of the Amalgamated One bonus objective to spawn, which in turn spawns the rare Amalgamation of Flesh, which then has a chance to drop the Wicked Lurker. So if you're into stacked RNG, that's your thing. Keep an eye out on the daily reports that we put out on the Discords and Twitter and the Pet Battle forums for the chance for the bonus objective to be there, because it does reset daily. Keep an eye on those if that's something that you are looking to do. We also got a new set of BFA islands with the reset, and this week we have the Dread Chain, Crestfall, and the Whispering Reef. while the salvage vendor has the Crestfall, Jorundal, and Ungol ruin chests for sale for your hard-earned doubloons. And going more current or future, I guess is the best way to put it. I just got off of the PTR, which is why I'm recording this so late, and I have a few items of really good news, actually. In the newest build, Bucky, the little beaver that I mentioned in my pet news on Monday, that was going for 75,000 elemental overflow, has thankfully been reduced to a mere 25,000 overflow, which apparently comes in way above the mount. I guess the mount's going for 10,000 elemental overflow, so I'm not so sure what's special about this beaver, but it must be something, because that's a lot of elemental overflow still. And then I don't know if anyone remembers the little bear. God, I think it's like the snow fur, snow pelt bear. Anyway, the one that you have to get the honey snacks for, as well as the honorary dryad title so that they won't run away from you. I have some excellent news for you. Not only does it look like the honey snack will be sold from a vendor in the market village. I know it sounds like I said market, but it's like Murcut, I don't know. It's the village in the Forbidden Reach. The Valdrakken representative that's there. It looks like they're going to be selling the honey snacks, so you can get the honey snacks there if you don't want to buy them from the auction house. But the big problem people were coming across was the honorary dryad title disappearing. When I saw that the honey snacks were there, I was like, oh my goodness, is this them acknowledging that that was a little bit of a weird thing to make us do? So I ran over to the dryad, I can't remember her name, to see if maybe she had some kind of dialogue option for us to use to be able to talk to her to get the title again. Like, hey, remember me? I helped you with the little duck. Can I have my title back? Instead, she had a daily available, and it looks like when I searched on Wowhead, I didn't even need to change it over to the PTR to search for these dailies. It looks like they were actually implemented a while ago, but I guess they just never flipped the switch to turn them on. Good news is she's offering a daily that you can talk to her. You make some kind of food for some kind of animal. So when I just checked, I made one for a palamanther, salamander, whatever you want to call them. And I got the honorary dryad title again. People will finally be able to get that pet if they have been having those issues and they haven't already gone through the trouble of doing everything on an alt. And that's it for the news segment today. If anything else comes up on the 10.0.7 PTR, we will be keeping the Zufu's article updated with all of that new information. Once again, if you're interested in the daily activities for anything that comes up pet-wise, you can follow me on Twitter. I post both the reports for the EU and US realms there, and you can check the Pet Battle forums, or you can catch me in the Zufu's, Warcraft Pets, and Secret Finders discords for those reports as well. I do the US reports, Remti does the EU reports, because they are an amazing human being. Now, on to the question of what's the best way for players to level their pets, and I'm happy to report that there are plenty of ways to go about it. We're going to go over the older methods first. These are the ones that most people are going to be familiar with, but in case we have any new players just getting into the pet battle scene, we're going to walk through it a little bit. The older methods I split into 3 categories: Squirt, the Wad and Mop circuits, and the wild battles. But before we get into that, we need to go over why, even more so now, since the end of Shadowlands, those methods aren't quite as efficient as they were before. So towards the end of Shadowlands, they rebalanced how much experience our pets can receive on non-pet battle bonus weeks. Before the rebalance, the bonus weeks gave us 200% XP gained, or 200% additional experience gained. Right? Big increase. Everyone would hoard their leveling pets waiting for these weeks to come up, and they would hope for Super Squirt or hope for a really good Legion Tamer to come up, and that's what we would do. But what they did was they split that in half, and they gave us a 100% boost to the base XP we get normally on non-bonus weeks, and then they shifted the bonus week over to just 100%. So basically, you're not getting any more than we were before on bonus week. It's basically still the 200% on bonus week, but now on non-bonus weeks we have a 100% boost, which I think it cut the leveling time down to about half of what we were seeing on non-bonus weeks. So it was a great change. Everyone was for it, and like I said, I mentioned this because it means part of the older method of hoarding everything until the bonus weeks and or Super Squirt isn't strictly necessarily true anymore to be the most efficient. Now, wild battles, we'll go over those first, are going to be the easiest method for you to dig your teeth into and the one with the least number of restrictions on getting started. Basically, you can just go talk to the pet trainer in your capital city, and if you've got the pets, you can walk right out your front gates and you can start battling stuff and start getting experience for your pets. I mean, that's it. It's the easiest way out there to get started, and it's probably going to be the one that's most reminiscent of Pokemon. You start a fight with wild pets around the same level as your pet or pets, and voila, experience. Just keep in mind, if you're leveling a whole team, that experience will be split between all who participated in the battle. So if you have 3 pets in the battle who are trying to level and they're all of similar, within 2 level ranges of the pets you're fighting, then it's going to be split up between all of them. And like I just mentioned, you're only going to get a decent amount of XP as long as what you're fighting isn't 2 levels lower than the pet you want experience for. Does that make sense? Like, you can't just take a team of like 17s over to an area with level 1s and expect to get anywhere anytime soon on your experience gains. And while they did make a change to dead pets getting experience now, it's obviously not going to be anywhere near as good as if the level pet or pets survive the experience. So while it's not a total loss if your level pet dies, as long as they've done the necessary requirements for them to gain the experience, it's still not advisable. You're better off hoping that everything survives the fight. You can do it where you're kind of, like I said, your whole team is kind of leveling at the same time, or the way most people do it is you have a couple of max level pets fighting other max level pets, and you have one low level or carry pet on your team that will get all of the XP as long as you do the fight correctly. If you're looking to do this with wild battles, some of the best fights you're going to find for this are in areas where like there's a high density of wild pets, and they tend to be the same type. And there are a few areas that players have found that work the best for this type of method with wild battling, and that's going to be the Icespine hatchlings in Frostfire Ridge, the Dancing Water Skimmers in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. That one comes with a bit of a caveat. I don't know if this is true for the Enzoth phased Vale of Eternal Blossoms. So if you talk to the dragon and say, I want to see what it was before, that might be what you need to do. She sits up there with Lorewalker Cho in between the 2 spots for the Horde and the Alliance. You just find her if they're not in the spots that they say they are and say, I want to go back to what it was before Enzoth, and then you should be able to find them. You can also do this with the Moonshell Crabs in Shadow Moon Valley. Pretty much anything in the Valley of the 4 Winds, because it's like all critters, which means you're just throwing some beasts at them. And the Dragonbone hatchlings in Dragonblight. So those are going to be the good spots. Now, this isn't a total list, right? Like, if you find an area where there's a high density amount of pets, they are pretty much all the same types that you're getting in the front line and the back line and you come up with a decent team and you're just grinding through your leveling, that's cool. That's totally fine as well. You're just looking for an area that has high density of similar family pets so you can build a nice strong team. And this method is also going to require you to have bandages on hand unless you have a bunch of teams to cycle through until you get the free heal to come up, or if you're in an area that's near a pet healer, which are going to show up on your maps as stable masters. Now, the second method are the WAD and MOP circuits, or really any of the miscellaneous pet battle dailies like at the Darkmoon Fair or Krissa in the Barrens. I have a whole personal beef against these dailies because these dailies are account dailies, meaning you can only do them once per day per account, and I don't like that. We have world quests now where, one, the rewards are phenomenally better than anything the dailies have ever given us, like pretty much, and I don't see the point in continuing to make them account dailies. I think they should be switched over to regular dailies, but that's a whole thing. Anyway, one of the problems with this method is that there's different levels of unlock requirements for these things. Like for MOP dailies, you'll need to complete all of the Go Fight 'em quest chains from your capital city pet trainers up through Cataclysm. The WAD ones should already be available if you've made it out there, but if you don't have WAD Pathfinder, I don't know if that's still a thing. It was when I was out there trying to do everything, but anyway, it can make it difficult to travel from place to place if you can't fly because it's quite an expansive region and there's lots of mountains. And that's kind of the crux of the problem with the WAD and MOP and any of the outlier sort of account dailies, is that unless you have a character to stick at every single one of those dailies, it's going to take forever. The travel time is atrocious between these dailies. And some people have the ults to do that. Most people probably don't. Really, unless you still need pet drops from some of the bags or the shiny charms from the dailies, if that's the reward for it, the method isn't really worth it anymore. Now, even if they switched it over to them being normal dailies, it still might not be worth it, but it might be slightly more worth it. And then last but not least, for the old method, we have Squirt the Wandering Trainer from the Garrison Menagerie in WAD. Arguably, she is the pedestal of what a lot of people see as the ultimate pet leveling experience in the game. And kind of like, we're gonna go over some of the newer methods later, and there's sort of a balance. It's really going to depend on what you have access to and things of that nature on what method's going to be best for you, which is why I'm laying it all out on the table for you. If it makes you feel any better, I have over 1,500 pets. I've never used Squirt to level a single one of them. If you don't feel like doing the unlock requirements for her that I'm about to go over, don't sweat it. There are plenty of other ways to level, or plenty of other fish in the sea, I guess is the best way to put it. She has the highest unlock requirement of all the old methods, maybe the new methods too. Requires a level 3 garrison just to get started, which means you're going to have to put in the work to get your Warlords of Draenor garrison to level 3. I think if you have a boosted character, they automatically get upgraded to level 3. So if you have a boosted character, that's the one that I would look to do things on. If you don't have a boosted character and you have never done anything in Warlords of Draenor, maybe wait for some of the other options. Anyway, once you get your garrison to level 3, you're going to need to pick up the Unearthed Magic quest from the NPC in the spot where your menagerie is going to be. This quest is going to reward you an instant 25 stone or an ultimate battle training stone or the purple stone. I mean, all of those names are valid for a pet of your choice. So congratulations on that. You officially have a pet to 25 if you haven't gotten one there yet. That quest then leads to the Pets versus Pests quest, where you have to battle 3 single target enemies in your garrison. If you're familiar with pet battling, not a huge deal. If you're not familiar with pet battling, Xufus does have the pages for the introductory quests. So you'll be fighting Ceratus Maximus, Gorfu, and Naphase, but they do have strategy pages for those 3, so you can take a look there and see what you need to get started. Once you win this battle, you turn the quest in. Your level 1 menagerie is there. Congratulations. Level 1 is all you need for Squirt to show up. So one of the big advantages to Squirt is that she is on a timetable. She's going to be there every 15 days. So that's one of her big advantages. The other really big advantage to leveling through Squirt is the fact that she has a healer right next to her. So if you're just getting started and you've gotten it to level 1, you've got no bandages, this is the fight for you. We have some really great strategies. I'm going to go over my recommended strategy for this later, and this is going to be the fight for you if you're just starting out and you have the menagerie open. Like I said, she'll be there Friday for NA, and I think she'll be there in a couple of weeks for EU as well. That's why she's still, to this day, one of the best pet leveling options. Now, none of the other fights in the garrison are really worth it, not in the way she is, because she's the closest you're going to get to like the Tamer dailies and a traditional team that you're going to go against, and that's why she's great. The caveat is unlike the dailies that you can only do once per day per account, she's repeatable. So if you have 500 pets that you need to level and you're that patient and you have the time on Squirt Day, you can go level 500 pets if that's really what you want to do. Personally, I never made it to like more than 200. I think that was my limit. I've heard of people who have done more, and hats off to them. I can't do it. Now, before we get into the newer methods of pet leveling, I'd like to go over our pet spotlight for the week with the timeless mechanical dragonling. Ever since this little one has flip-flapped onto the scene with his metal wings for WoW's 17th anniversary, they have been tearing up some of the older leveling strategies and leaving them in the dust. So the pet itself is really slow. It's only at 231 speed, but its power stat is a whopping 346, which more than makes up for it. Combine that with the fact that it's a mechanical pet. Because of their mechanical resurrection ratio, you can kind of time things for more accuracy. It lets you strategize a little better, the mechanical racial. Same for undead. Undead's a little more reliable because they can't be killed at all, but mechanical is next best thing. It's super slow, so its spark ability isn't all that great, but its flame breath attack, which is an attack and a dot, plus razor talons, will eat through anything, even pets that it does weak damage to, because it's so strong. It's the Armageddon ability that makes it so great for leveling strats, because it's very similar to Explode, where the pet is sacrificing itself, and if everything, like if the other pet that's carrying the level pet is dead, and then you use Armageddon and everything on the enemy team is dead, all of the XP gets dumped onto your leveling pet, so it's pretty perfect. So it's just like Explode, except Armageddon damages the whole team, which means it's probably not going to do as much damage, generally speaking, as Explode, but it's still really great. It also has the Time Bomb ability, which does major magical damage and has a stun. I don't know if we're going to see a change to that, not to the damage value, but it stuns for 2 rounds instead of 1. I don't know if that's something that's going to be changed in the future. I know that's going to impact a few strategies at the very least, but you know, we'll see. Maybe they'll just change the tooltip. That said, let's hear it for this tiny but fierce mechanical terror. I absolutely love it. I recommend getting 2. You can buy them on the auction house. They also come up during WoW's anniversary, and you can purchase them for time warped badges from the vendor when the anniversary is active, but they are cageable, so they should be up on the auction house. So just like the timeless mechanical dragonling is replacing a lot of the older leveling strategies for more efficient and quick ones, some of the newer methods of leveling can do the same. So just like the old methods, I'll break the new ones up into 3 categories. So Legion Tamers, Stone Farming, and Charm Farming. In Legion, there were 15 of all of the Tamers added that were part of the Family Familiar achievement set, which means they were made repeatable, which meant when their world quest is active, you can fight them and repeatedly do the battles to get your family familiar achievement done for that particular enemy. That also means we can repeat them for leveling. Not all of the 15 tamers are great for leveling, but some of them are just as fast or faster than Squirt. Also, just want to mention, you don't have to have the Legion world quests unlocked to be able to battle the tamers. They're going to be there whether you can do their world quest or not. What I tend to do is, for my lower level characters that can't unlock the world quest, I will just hop into Legion Chromie time and then fly over to wherever the tamer is and just sit there and level pets and level characters, because unlike Squirt, the repeatable Legion tamers will also give you character XP. So that's one of the advantages of the Legion tamers over Squirt, is you can also level your characters while you're leveling your pets, and I am all about multitasking. The downside, because obviously the upsides are the efficiency, some of them are super fast and they also level your character, but the downsides are that aside from the Dalaran tamers, I don't think any of the repeatable Legion tamers are near any pet healers. If you don't have any bandages, you either need to have enough teams to cycle through until your free heal is up again while you're leveling your pets, or you need to go buy some bandages, I guess. I think it's like 5 polished pet charms to get a stack of 25. But there are certain Legion tamers like Odrog, who there are some fights for that one where you only need to heal as often as the free heal is up. So I know there's a couple of people who have come up with leveling strategies like that for Odrog. I don't think that's the case for most of the Legion tamers though. And then the other downside is you can only battle them when the world quest is active. Like I said, you don't need to have world quest unlocked to battle them, but their world quest does need to be active for that day for you to be able to battle them. They won't spawn if their world quest isn't active. And also, unlike Squirt, it's completely random. We don't have a schedule for when these tamers are going to be up, which is super frustrating. And while I've never seen anything like a whole week going by where we don't have the Legion tamers, I have seen 3 to 4 day stretches where there's just no Legion tamers up, and I think I've seen it happen at least once during Pet Battle bonus week, which is a problem for the people who are still hoarding their pets for those weeks to level their pets and are hoping for some good Legion tamers to come up. But if you have the bandages and the tamers are up, the repeatable Legion tamers can be right up there with or even surpass Squirt as far as efficiency goes. As for the last two, these are my preferred methods, and they're kind of combined because you go about getting them the same way. What I do is I keep an eye out for Battle for Azeroth, Shadowlands, and Dragonflight World Quest rewards and farm them accordingly. And what I mean by that is if the family specific leveling stones or the polished pet charms come up as rewards, I do my best to hit those world quests with as many characters as possible. The reason this works so well now is because when they made the change to the experience, the one I explained earlier with the changing of 200% on bonus to just increasing the base by 100% and then 100% on bonus week, they also changed how our stones award levels, basically. So the stones beforehand would do 1 stone equaled 1 level, but now 1 stone gives a flat experience amount. So if you have a level 1 pet and you throw a stone at it now, it's going to go from like 1 to 8. So realistically, depending on how many stones a world quest is offering, because I think it takes 7. I can't, don't quote me on it. I don't know how many level stones it takes exactly to get from 1 to 25, but you can level 1 pet in basically 2 battles. There's generally going to be enough stones that 2 battles you're going to be able to level a pet, which is just as quick as stacking all of the experience buff treats, hats, everything else we have access to on a bonus week. So that's super duper fast when you think about it that way. The beauty of it is for new players specifically is that the world quests in pet battles in BFA, Shadowlands, and Dragonflight will scale to the highest level pet on your team. So if you have a team of all level 1s, you'll be facing a team of all level 1s. So that means realistically you could go in and you could fight and you could do 2 fights on 2 different characters and get enough stones to level like a pet or a pet and a half or whatever the case may be. That's an upside there, is you can start the level stone and polish pet charm farm without having leveled like anything at all because of the scaling that goes on. And then when they made the changes to the leveling stones and how they work, it also adjusted the prices of our stones. The price for the instant 25 or purple stone, or the ultimate battle training stone, which is the proper name, I just call it a purple stone, was reduced in accordance with the change. It used to be 60 polished pet charms, but now it only costs 35, which makes it really easy to just do a couple of polished pet charm world quests and go buy a stone. So again, you're able to level a pet from 1 to 25 with 2 battles. Now again, the downside for these methods is that the world quests for these 3 expansions do take varying degrees to unlock depending on the expansion. For BFA, you do still need to get your Heart of Azeroth from Magni and be max level for the expansion. Shadowlands, I think, is sort of just a step below that in difficulty. I think you just need to get to max level for Shadowlands and they're like, here's your world quest, have a nice day. You just have to do some kind of quest. And what's nice about Dragonflight, on the other hand, is that Shadowlands, if you don't have any Threads of Fate characters left over, if someone was to make like 10 characters right now and level them all up, all of them would need to get to the end level of Shadowlands, so 60 probably in Shadowlands to access the world quest, because I'm pretty sure they turned Threads of Fate off once Dragonflight went live. So you would need all of the max level characters for Shadowlands to be able to unlock the world quest there. Dragonflight's by far the easiest. You get 1 character to max level in Dragonflight, you unlock adventure mode, and anyone who can make it out to the Dragon Isles who's probably 60 or above, or maybe 58 or above, can do the world quests. Dragonflight's by far the easiest out of all of them. Aside from the varying degrees of unlock downside, it also isn't a great method if you don't have kind of an army of alts, right? Like if you're a 1 character person, this is not the method I would recommend for you, because it takes forever to farm the charms with just 1 character. Shadowlands, it wasn't so bad, mostly because you also had the mission table, same for BFA, right? Dragonflight right now only has 1. That's changing in 10.0.7. We're gonna have 1 for each zone, just like in Shadowlands. It sounds like the devs are listening and they're giving us that. The Forbidden Reach pet battles don't seem to have any rewards. I don't know what they're doing there. You get a pet as a reward the first time around. I don't know if that's you can have a pet each time and that's going to absolutely tank the prices of those pets, which I don't care about that, but I'd much rather have you get a pet the first time and then get a reward each time after that. That's my preference. Anyway, that's not the method I would recommend if you're a 1 character person. If you're a 1 character person, I definitely recommend like repeatable Legion Tamers or hanging out for Squirt. As a bonus method that's not quite a method, it almost feels, it's not cheating. It feels maybe like cheating. Anyway, once you get 1 pet in your roster to level 25, you can also just purchase level 25 pets off the auction house and you can uncage them. So really there's no leveling beyond the first pet that you level, if that's the route you want to take. Now, keep in mind, this doesn't work for wild pets. You can't cage wild pets. We're not going to talk about shy fly, okay? I know. We're not talking about the shy fly. We're going to pretend it doesn't exist. You can't cage wild pets. If you're really only looking to like get a team going so you can farm, the stones or use squirt or what have you, you can do the garrison method, which if you want to level through squirt, you're gonna have to get that single stone when you get the level 1 menagerie anyway. Or you can do the new quest chain from Jaihana in Valdrakken, and it's gonna get you 325s just from completing the chain. So if you'd rather do this method, it's definitely quicker than the garrison method if you haven't leveled up your garrison. You do need to be max level as far as I know to get the quest from Jaihana, but that is there as an option. Now just keep in mind that until you have a level 25 on your roster, you cannot uncage level 25. So if the highest level pet on your roster is a level 10, you can't purchase a level 25 pet off the auction house and uncage it. You have to level either through stones or the old-fashioned way, level up a pet to 25 to be able to uncage those pets. But that's going to be it for the leveling methods. As I said, how to level is one of the most recurring questions. Hopefully I've given you quite a few different options here for you. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to @ me wherever you happen to be adding people at. And in honor of the topic and the fact that Friday is Squirt Day, our strategy spotlight for the day goes to Mutanus's 10-round, 66-second strategy versus Squirt the Wandering Trainer. Mutanus has created some awesome leveling strategies over the years, and this one uses 2 pets that you can purchase off the auction house. As long as you've got that level 25, you can purchase them at 25, and then you can start leveling on Friday if you're in the North American servers. The 2 pets would be the Torghast Lurker and our guest of honor for the day, the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling, and it all circles back, and you know why I chose it for the day. And then as a little bonus to this, to go with Mutanus' strategy, you can also download the Ultra Squirt add-on by Aspen_KT, which will streamline the entire process of battling and healing for this fight. So if you're familiar with the former TD scripts, I call them PB scripts now because the person who made TD scripts, that was like their initials, the TD part, and they didn't update everything. If you're familiar with PB scripts, it's kind of like that. It's an add-on for that. So it does it so that every button press will not automate the fight because that's against TOS, semi-automate the fight. And then it will also have you macro through some stuff so that you can heal with pressing the same, whatever your auto key is. So I know some people it's the space bar. I think I set mine to A. You can change the key, whatever your preference is. So the Ultra Squirt add-on, but it's super helpful, especially if you have massive queues to go through. Like if you're trying to get into the hundreds of pets leveled, this is going to be the add-on for you to help with that. However, that's going to be it for me this week. I'll have all of the pertinent links of everything I've discussed in here available on the tweet for the podcast, as well as in the description of the YouTube video once I upload it there. But until next time, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day or night, depending on where you are in the world. And until then, happy battling.